Hello and welcome to this course on legal aptitude for law entrance. The legal aptitude sections in the law entrance examinations will test your aptitude for the study of law. Our purpose with this course is very simple. It is to be prepared to face any question that can come in the legal aptitude sections of the law entrance examinations. So how will we go about this? Do you know about Sun Tzu, the legendary Chinese military strategist who also wrote the evergreen book, The Art of War? These are his words. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Now, I'm not suggesting in any way that writing the law entrance exam is a battle. In fact, it is nothing like the life and death situation that battles are. This is just an examination. You'll write the exam and move on with your life. But the lessons learned in the heat of battle give us good guidance for living our life. And Sun Tzu reminds us of the importance of preparation. To be fully prepared to write the law entrance examination, we should do all that we can to know the law entrance exams. And that is what we will do with this video. We are going to try and learn as much as we can about the legal aptitude section of the law entrance exam. At the end of this video, you will have a good idea of what to expect when we eventually sit down to write the law entrance exam. The first step is to read and understand the notification announcing the CLAT or other law entrance examinations, and go through the entire admission process carefully. My advice is to read the notification a few times and understand it thoroughly. In fact, try to complete every step of the admission process yourself. Don't leave this to your parents or friends. Reading the notification and going through this process will improve your understanding of what to expect in the examination. I will also recommend that you go through the notification once again before you proceed further with this course. To get to know the legal aptitude section, let us look at the legal aptitude sections from the recent past. That should give us some clues about what to expect. Let's look at question papers from 2014, 2015, and 2016. The first thing we can observe is that in all 3 years, there was a legal aptitude section. In all 3 years, the section had 50 questions out of a total of 200 questions. The legal aptitude section of the paper, therefore, amounted to a fourth of all questions. Let's dive a little deeper. What types of questions were asked in 2014? In 2014, all the questions in the legal aptitude section required a candidate to apply a principle provided in the question to a set of facts provided in the question. The correct conclusion of how the principle would apply to the set of facts had to be picked from a set of 4 choices. Let's see some very typical examples. Question number 181 in the 2014 paper was, here's the principle. Whoever drives any vehicle or rides on any public way in a manner so rash or negligent as to endanger human life or to be likely to cause hurt or injury to any other person has committed an offense which shall be punished in accordance with the law. And here are the facts. X, a truck driver, driving his vehicle rashly and negligently at a high speed, climbed the footpath and hit Y, a pedestrian, from behind, causing his death. And the options? A, X is not guilty of rash and negligent driving. B, Y should have taken sufficient care on the footpath. C, X is guilty of rash and negligent driving. And D, X is only in part guilty of rash and negligent driving. This question is fairly typical of the questions that were asked in the legal aptitude section that year. You already know what you're expected to do with this question, but let's be more methodical in our approach here. First, Let's read the instructions that appeared at the beginning of the legal aptitude section in 2014. These instructions will tell us how to answer the questions. This section consists of 50 questions. Each question consists of legal propositions or principles, hereinafter referred to as principle, and facts. These principles have to be applied to the given facts to arrive at the most reasonable conclusion. Such principles may or may not be true in the real sense, yet you have to conclusively assume them to be true for the purposes of this section. In other words, in answering the following questions, you must not rely on any principles except the principles that are given herein below for every question. Further, you must not assume any facts other than those stated in the question. The objective of this section is to test your interest towards the study of law, research aptitude, and problem-solving ability, even if the most reasonable conclusion arrived at may be unacceptable for any other reason. It is not the object of this section to test your knowledge of law. Let's break this down. Firstly, your job is to apply the principle to the given facts and choose the most reasonable conclusion. Now, what is a reasonable conclusion? We are all familiar with the word reason. The word reason brings to mind causes, explanations, and justifications. But the word reason is also used to refer to a system of thinking. You're not being reasonable, we sometimes tell people we are in a disagreement with. What do we mean when we say that? When we use reason in such contexts, we refer, whether we know it or not, to a very old method of systematically and correctly arriving at conclusions. It is a system that lets us test whether conclusions are correct and whether arguments have been developed correctly from simple propositions. We all know the name of this system. We refer to it in routine conversations when we start a sentence with, "It is logical that," or when we say, "Hey, you're being illogical." So what is a reasonable conclusion? It is a conclusion that is logically justifiable. That is, a conclusion that remains valid once you apply the rules of logic. Let's take a look at one of the arguments that Socrates was very fond of using to illustrate the use of logic. He would say first, Socrates is a man. He would then say, all men are mortal. Socrates would conclude, therefore, Socrates is mortal. Let's take a look at how this can be represented in a Venn diagram. You're all familiar with Venn diagrams and basic set theory, so this should not be difficult. Socrates is a man. This is a set of all men, and this is Socrates. Socrates is part of the set of all men. This means that Socrates, who belongs to the set of all men, shares the features of that set of men. One of the features of this set of all men is that all men are mortal. Since Socrates is part of that set of all men, Socrates is mortal. This was how Socrates liked to illustrate a reasonable conclusion. If this sounds a lot like mathematics, it's not a coincidence. I want to take a moment here to talk about Euclid, the ancient Greek mathematician who is often referred to as the father of geometry. Perhaps the greatest of his accomplishments was to present the principles of geometry in a single, logically coherent framework, including a system of rigorous mathematical proofs. A mathematical proof is something that demonstrates that a statement is always true. The development of the mathematical proof system is considered one of the greatest achievements of Greek mathematicians. Why is this relevant for us? I will let Abraham Lincoln explain that. And with that, we have come to the end of the first session of this unit. Continue learning with the next video.